Hi, this is Joe here with another review. And since we're having a little bit of a snowstorm here in New York, um, and today is the day of doing this video. We're having a major blizzard here in New York City. And I figured to do a baseball documentary review for you so it can warm you up a little bit in this little snowstorm. I decided to do a review of a documentary called The Story of Classic America's Ballparks, or the tour of America's Greatest Ballparks. And this came out in 1991, and this is by Questor Video Production. I think for as early as 10 years ago, was recent 10 years ago, this was on the Travel Channel documentary. And this was hosted by actor Jeff Daniels. And of course it talks about the four oldest ballparks in the United States. Now, unfortunately, two of them are still in existence today, because after this production was made was finished shooting in 1990, Comiskey Park, or the original Comiskey Park, which is down here in the corner, the original Comiskey Park closed down in 1990, and they built a new one right across the street, even though it's not called Comiskey Park, because the owners of the White Sox sold the rights, the naming rights. Piece of garbage. And then 10 years later, Tiger Stadium, which is pictures up here, closed down. Not only closed down, but was also torn down as well. Even though Tiger Stadium was used as Yankee Stadium in the Billy Crystal movie 61. The only two ballparks are still left, and the two oldest ones are, of course, Fenway, you can see it, and of course, Wrigley Field here. And Wrigley Field just last year, 2014, celebrated its 100th anniversary. So these are the two oldest ballparks in the United States in terms of, major league ballparks. And one thing they don't like about this documentary, it does show you the neighborhoods where these ballparks playing. But Tiger Stadium is not really in the neighborhood. Unlike the other few big ballparks, they were in the neighborhood. When you say Fenway Park is more of an industrial area. But Fenway Park is. Rather than the two stadiums in Chicago, Comiskey Park and Wrigley Field are both in a real neighborhood. Real authentic neighborhood, so it's a neighborhood ballpark. And it shows you the outside of the park. It does show you areas where you don't really see on television. If you see the games on television, just focus inside the stadium. Where the field is. And of course, actually, they're focusing on the action, they're focusing on the game. So very rarely will they show you areas outside the ballpark. They may do that with Wrigley Field, because I do remember growing up watching games on WGN, where with old Harry Carey there, got level, would show you Lake Michigan. There's only a couple of blocks away from where Wrigley Field is. Plus, maybe sometimes outside the stadium. Of course, if any of you have ever seen the show Perfect Strangers, they do show. I think from season 2 on, they show you the front of Wrigley Field. And sometimes during the games, they might show you Sheffield Avenue and Raven Avenue, which is Raven Avenue is outside the left field fence, and of course right field is Sheffield Avenue, where right field is. And I used to remember people used to live in those apartment buildings across the street. I think the Ricketts family, who now owns the Cubs, bought out those apartment buildings. So now they made an extra business of selling out. People want to sit on the rooftops, because they build like bleacher seats on those rooftops of the buildings across the street, and you can watch the game pretty much for free from your living room. That's what made Wrigley Field so great, because you can live right across the street and see pretty much every game for free. I do remember a couple of years ago they tried to put like a special screen to block out the people viewing the games for free, which of course didn't go over very well with people in the neighborhood. Of course, with Wrigley Field, they did talk about the first night game, and which happened a year before they made production of this video. And of course, the reason why, and they do go into why they had night games in Wrigley Field, because from 1914, when Wrigley Field opened for the team was in the Federal League, till 1987, they never had any lights in Wrigley Field, because Philip K. Wrigley, who owned the Cubs back in the 30s and 40s, and of course until the Wrigley family owned the Cubs until they sold to the Tribune Company in 1980, they kept the lights out of Wrigley Field. But Philip Wrigley, after the 1940 season, Philip K. Wrigley actually bought all the lighting equipment, and he had underneath the Raven Avenue and Sheffield Avenue. But in December of 1940, after 1940, it was after the 1941 season actually. Of course, about 2 months or 3 months, 2.5 months after the 1941 season ended, was a little thing called Pearl Harbor happened, and of course, Philip Wrigley donated all the equipment, all the SEAL equipment, to the armed services and to the Navy, so he never put up lights. He was going to after 1941, and then it was put off until 1988. Actually, the original scheduled game was 8/8/88 on Monday, August 8th, 1988. But the game was rained out, and then the next night on national TV on NBC, the Cubs played the Mets. And unfortunately, that game was official, and the Mets lost 6-4. But the originally scheduled night game was from WGN and was taping the game and everything else, so you could actually have a game with Harry Carey announcing. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. It was kind of like a footnote. I think you can see the original game, the originally scheduled game. I think that's on YouTube now. I know when I'm going to Wrigley Field because I like Wrigley Field. Or I like to see it. I also like to see Fenway Park as well, but those are like the two hardest tickets to get. And also the most expensive tickets is, of course, for the Red Sox. Even though they expanded, I think Wrigley Field, you get about 40,000 people now in Wrigley Field for expansions and renovations to the stadium. The same thing with Fenway. But I think Fenway still has the smallest attendance of any of the ballparks. Of course, I look finally to watching the 3 games from the '86 World Series, because it was before they put in the Fenway seats and the monster seats. They put ads, I think around 2003, they put these seats over the famous left field wall in Fenway Park. So I look at some of the older movies like Field of Dreams or the '86 World Series, and you can see the what Fenway Park looked like before they put the Fenway monster seats up there. And of course, Tiger Stadium, they also talk about how an architect expert talking about how the stadiums were designed and everything else to have more capacity and a small sites, which these ballparks were on. They were on at least on one city block. So it's not like football stadiums where you can cover like two or 3 blocks, or city blocks. There's like maybe one of these blocks. Seriously, especially with Wrigley Field is concerned, it's literally on one block. And of course, if you ever seen the show Undercover Boss, with the Rickard family who just bought the Cubs like a year earlier, you can see stuff at Wrigley Field that you didn't see before. So you should check out that video as well of Undercover Boss for the Chicago Cubs. I recommend that as well, because you also go into the scoreboard. You see Jeff Daniels hanging out of the scoreboard. We don't see inside the scoreboard. And Undercover Boss, you do see inside the scoreboard. But Fenway Park, of course, like I said, you show all the areas, so I recommend. And also, you see players who have since died, including Gallo, Ernie Banks. That's played too. Recently died like the Friday before I did this video. This is Monday, and he just died then. So this is I know I'm doing a short video on this, I recommend, if you never seen this video, I don't know if it's on YouTube or not. I suggest you look for it. If it is on YouTube, I suggest you watch this document if you're an old-time baseball fan like I am. I still suggest you check out this video if you haven't checked it out yet. Another review of the story or the tour of America's oldest ballparks. Classic ballparks is on the cover. Please feel free to comment on the video. Please comment on. Please subscribe to my channel. And also check out my other videos as well. I'm going to make another announcement. You can also see my videos, not just on my YouTube channel, which I'm going to keep up, but you can also see my videos on rallyc.com. Because I made an agreement with the Rally Reviewer, my friend Chris Lee Moore, and he's starting to link some of my videos onto his website. So you could have a choice of where you can go to see specifically my videos. But if you go to rallyc.com, you can check out other content that's on Rally's website, which is rallyc.com. And you go to see his TV trash videos, his videos for the wrestling more. He just did a review today of the 2015 Royal Rumble. So you can check out his videos on his page along with mine, plus other videos as well on his website, which is rallyc.com. Plus you can still see my videos on YouTube, because I don't have my own personal website, so I am keeping my videos on YouTube. So don't, if you want to look for my videos on YouTube, you can do so as well. Check out my YouTube channel. Plus, you go to rallyc.com and you go to see Rally is starting to post my videos on his site, because I guess he kind of like my videos and he wanted to have. He's also just disappointed in how many views that I have, which is not that many. My most highest view video is my Ken Burns baseball series, which was over 300 views. But he's also disappointed that I do good videos. At least he believes I do good videos, and he's disappointed as I am that I haven't gotten as many views on some of my older videos as I personally would like. So he decides to help me out and start posting my videos onto his page. Since I mostly do movies, he does mostly television shows or bad TV shows. So I figured, hey, we work something out, and we have worked something out, so you can see my videos on his site, rallyc.com, plus also on my YouTube channel. So you can check it out there. Like I said, thanks for watching this video. Please check out my other ones as well, either on YouTube or on rallyc.com. Either site. Either way, it will link you to my YouTube channel, at least through Rally's website. Please subscribe to my channel as well, and you get updates on my new videos as well. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.